Yeah.
When does a person know, like you said you had the equivalent of 2 or 3 safety nets.
Mhm.
How does somebody know when one safety net has been, like, when do we get to start enjoying or sitting in the more uh, allowing ourselves the pleasure?
Yeah.
Because I think there is, you have to like work, right? And
Yeah.
be diligent, and then it kind of opens up. So, what does that look like for somebody? Or should we be having pleasure the whole time, even if we are in distress?
Well, I think for most people, unless you are unable to pay bills, if you've got collectors calling, you got to be 100% in provider mode energy because you're in crisis. However, if you're paying all the bills, there should be some money for pleasure. So the way to think about it is, depending on the strength of your safety net, you can have your pleasure swing, but your swing might need to be 5 or 10 feet off the ground, not 50 feet off the ground. So if after you pay all your bills at the end of the month, you've got $100 left over, then maybe you've got $50 for fun money. Now, if at the end of the month you have $2,000 left over, hey, then maybe that does mean you can spend $1,000 a month on the fun stuff. But when I talk about the safety net, in my newest book, Provider Money, Pleasure Money, really, I want people to have at the beginning at least 1 month of their living expenses. So if your income was zero next month, what would you absolutely have to pay? Right. So that would be things like your rent, your mortgage, car payments, your minimum due on your credit cards. Certainly, there would be things that you could cut. You could say, like, all right, well, I could cut out my massage, I could cut out, getting my manicure. There are definitely some things I could cut out of there, but what are all the essentials that are like non-negotiable that I have to pay? What is that number? Is it $3,000? Is it $5,000? Let's get that in a savings account specifically for your safety net. And then the goal is to build that up to 3 to 6 months. Now, you can be doing some pleasure money and putting some towards your safety net at the same time, which is usually what happens when I'm coaching my clients. I'm not going to ask them to give up all of the fun stuff because what happens in that situation is pretty much the same thing if you love carbs and I ask you to go on keto. Right? Like if you're really strong, you might last a week. I don't know. You might only last an afternoon. I could never do a keto plan because I love carbs way too much. But when we're looking at a healthy eating plan, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, yes, you can have some carbs, but there's a limit. Like there's guardrails around that. And so as you are making sure that your safety net is super strong and it's going to hold you, we can be spending money on fun stuff and we should be. And here's the thing, a lot of times it doesn't even have to be a lot of money, right? A single rose might make you as happy as an entire bouquet.